supposedly by Homo erectus, which is like the earliest ancestor in the genus Homo, which is a genus that we Homo sapiens, which is humans, we belong to that. And then, right, you'd think, okay, so you'd think language, language also evolved. So there are two sort of studies of language. The one is called the discontinuity theory, and the other is called the discontinuity theory, which is more of an evolutionary one. So the discontinuity theory says that language came about 100 years ago, and then it just came out or fell out of the sky, and then it multiplied amongst humans, which it goes against the logic of the evidential logic of evolution. Everything evolved, so I believe also language evolved. In a simple sense, we could make all these different sounds that other animals can make, and then those sounds we attach meaning to them. Imagine just a tribe of our early ancestors. They could make sounds, and then now they start attaching meanings to different sounds to denote what those sounds mean, right? For instance, a simple sound like in the basic sense. Remember, everything starts in the most basic sense. Computers started in the most basic sense. They could do less activities than they do today, and then they got more complex and complex, just kind of like how innovation works. Human or man-made innovation, it gets more complex, and as human beings also, it seems that we also got more complex. We can make complex innovation. So think of it this way. Let's say a simple tone like ah. Let's say we can infer that it means small tree, and then when I drag it, it could mean a medium tree, and then when I drag it a bit again over and above the two tones, it means a big tree. For example, ah means a small tree, ah means a medium tree, ah means a bigger tree. So that's, I think, how also language could have evolved from simplicity, tonal sounds, and now we also now figure out, instead of just making sounds, we can actually make words, right? And then kind of like even the word "word" is a word, but now we in a small tribe, we denote that this word has got this meaning. Another tribe elsewhere in the world or on earth could also make a word, but and then it could be a word for word, and then it wouldn't sound the same because it's not invented by the same people, or that it's not like we are conjoined in the head to say when we denoted language, this is how language will sound, and it will be the same. So because I'm saying language evolved, so it happened in different parts of the world by different parts of animals, or the genus Homo members, right? And also I think that's how also language evolved. There are different arguments in terms of it started with erectors, or it started with later ancestor Neanderthals, or even sapiens. But I believe, looking at the complications of the innovations made by Homo erectus, I would say perhaps either it began with them, or at least it began a bit before, and then it was evolving into a language which had some bit of I don't want to say complexity, but complexity as compared to maybe Australopithecus, right? And I'm not saying it started with Australopithecus. I'm saying, or rather, I'm not also saying it started. I slightly, or not slightly, actually more, believe that it started with Erectus, and then so it's in between there. Like the measurement of when it could have happened, it's quite difficult. The thing with looking back in history and trying to make points on it, or what could have happened at this time, is quite difficult because you're working in backwards and time is actually moving forward. So I believe, I think most of the arguments say that it started with erectors. well, language, at least it started developing from there on, right? There was, yes, gestural communication, but a language in terms of making sounds, maybe also delving into making words, right? And then different tribes would have their different words, and then one tribe maybe will interact with another tribe and then steal a couple of things from them, and then so that it could go in incorporating their language, and then maybe one tribe innovates something that another tribe doesn't have, and then what happens? Obviously, maybe say they meet up, and then when they meet up, they'll, "Oh, okay, you call this a spear, we'll also call it a spear because you are the first one to invent it," kind of like that. So that's the interchange of man-made innovation and language. So imagine, here's what also language does. It enables me, or it allows animals, in this case, the line of human beings, going back to even Australopithecus erectus, Homo sapiens, Neanderthals. This is what I say, that language facilitated, or rather made it easy for innovations to be remade, meaning I can make a spear and then now I show it to my former tribesmen how to make it with just gestures, and I'm adding a bit of sounds. And then when we've developed language, language also I think develops around there. When we develop language, and then it's easier to articulate how that innovation is made, even more especially if it's complex, right, to the next person. And then again, think of it this way: with language, I can go to a seamstress and say to them, or articulate an idea for a dress or suit that I want in articulate means. So take away language, I wouldn't be able to articulate the idea of that dress that doesn't exist. Let's call it a novel idea for a dress or a suit. Without language, it will be very difficult to go and articulate that idea. So language helps to articulate even novelty, right? And I think that's how language contributed. It allowed many further innovations to be created, novel ideas to be created, and existing innovations at those moving different points to be remade and improved and taught, kind of like that. You teach me something with language, how to make something with language, and then I go teach it to the next person with language, and then the next person might articulate how we can improve, articulate it verbally with language, with words, with sounds, how we can improve it. So it's a marriage of this thing. So innovation, our biological gift of innovating things upon layer, is assisted by what? By language. And also language is an invention. Also language is a innovation. So we innovated language because our biology allowed us to get into that mode of evolving and creating language, and making it more dense and complex. So think of man-made innovation and language as a complementing marriage that helps the two go forward, right? Innovations, when we innovate different things that don't exist yet, the more they add, we assign them what? Names, and then those names become part of the lexicon of innovation, right? And language, like I was saying, it's also an innovation, it's also an invention. So they move hand in hand, interchangeably, they're interdependent. Now imagine all these different innovations that have been made, like from 3.3 million years ago, also language being part of them. And I'm talking now about the physical innovations, right? One tribe is able to make spears, the other tribe maybe is able to make hand axes, right? And then they realize that, man, instead of fighting, we can teach each other how to make these things, or we can exchange these things. Now that's when barter comes along, right? It's barter exchange.